Hey gang, so this is me, Jay. I'm gonna do another installment in my rideshare um, experiences. So like I said in the intro, if you heard, I've been driving for Uber for about a year and a half since November of 2017, and after thinking about it and talking to other people and spending some time online with mainly on Twitter with following other Uber drivers all over the country and the world for that matter. I finally decided to give Lyft a try and see how it works out. And so today was my first full day driving for Lyft. So I'm going to give my impressions of the entire process up to now while it's fresh in my mind. So there's several things I want to talk about. First off, the sign up process with Lyft. I signed up, I think today's Saturday. So I signed up a week ago on Sunday. I did all the paperwork, pictures of stuff, submitted all that, and got all the insurance, the registration, driver's license, all that stuff done, immediately. And then the background check started. And so for comparison, when I signed up for Uber, my background check was done within 24 hours and I was driving, within 48 hours. So I was sort of amazed at how quickly that went. With Lyft, it took all week. So Friday afternoon, I got my notification yesterday that my background check was completed and I was free to start driving. I had like an event yesterday that I had to go to Friday, so I didn't drive on Friday. There was no good really Uber incentive this week for the weekend. It was kind of crappy Quest bonus, so a lot of trips for little money. And so I decided I probably wasn't going to drive Uber, especially since I had something to do Friday. I don't like to drive Sundays, so this morning I got up and actually my mount from my phone broke yesterday, so I had to go to Walmart and get a new mount anyhow. So I did that early in the morning, and I said, you know what? After I did that, I said, turn the app on and let's see what happens with Lyft. And pretty shocked that at like 10 a.m. in the morning I got a ride right away and got a couple of more. Actually had a shared ride after that, and then I was like, okay, that's cool. It's good enough. I'm gonna go home. It wasn't far from home, and so I'm gonna go home, relax, and maybe I'll go out this evening. And so that's what I did. I went home, messed around there, had lunch, normal stuff. And then I went out for the evening, and so I don't really have a goal. It's 10:30 p.m. now, so I left the house around 4, and it's a little bit earlier than I would normally leave on a Saturday. I normally wouldn't go out till 6, but that's because I would be planning on going probably 6 to 6, and knowing that I was going to work through the evening, and 11 to 5 a.m. or especially 11 to 4. In Atlanta is usually a pretty good time. Uber has it set up so that there are promotions pretty much during all that time in what they call core Atlanta. I think this weekend is plus $3 for every trip down there, and then you couple that with a Quest bonus. Yeah, it's usually a decent weekend. The Quest bonus this weekend stinks, so knowing that I wasn't going to drive Friday and I wasn't going to pursue the Quest, I said, you know what, I'll just go out and I'll try the Lyft. So I went out at 4, and my impression is when I see drivers around Atlanta, I see so many Lyft drivers that I thought, God, there's got to be oversaturation of Lyft, because I'm pretty sure they don't have the majority of the market here. But maybe they do. I tried to do some research while I was home to see what the market share was in Atlanta, and I couldn't find anything definitive or recent. The most recent was a couple of years old, and it was like 20%, not even, like 16% for Lyft, and the rest for Uber, which would say, why do I see all these Lyft drivers who's driving around here? How could they possibly be keeping filled? But so anyway, so I went out at 4, and I've been busy up until now, surprisingly so. I really didn't expect to be so busy. I'm turning my light on here again. Maybe not. Anyway, I really didn't expect to be this busy. I thought it would be sort of semi-dead, but it was I'm pleasantly surprised with the Lyft, that it kept me driving pretty much all night. I didn't have very much downtime at all. a couple of prime time uh, trips, which was nice. I really wasn't paying a lot of attention to that because I was just really trying to see what Lyft was like. I really tried to see what the passengers were like. I asked every passenger why they chose Lyft over Uber, and there's sort of a theme running through them. One thing I did notice: more women use Lyft. If tonight's any indication, I generally think women are around 50% of the Uber trips, probably a little less. But tonight they're easily in the majority. Out of the 16 trips I did, I think 8 were women, maybe even 10. I have to look at that. But so so that's kind of good. And a lot of people who are sort of dissatisfied with Uber and said I've switched to Lyft. And so I think that's a serious warning sign for Uber. You got a lot of customers out there who are who hate support, and I can tell you from a driver's perspective, the Uber support's not good. And if you go to a hub, it's good, but any other kind of support from Uber is not good. And passengers are experiencing the same thing with Uber, and that's driving them away from Uber. Had a few people say Lyft is always cheaper, or is generally cheaper, so they choose Lyft. Several people said the drivers are better with Lyft. Now, I take that with a grain of salt because I think probably 75% of the drivers are doing both. So it's the same drivers. Maybe the 25% that aren't doing Lyft are because they can't pass a background check. I don't know, and maybe that's what makes it seem like the drivers are generally better. But I had a couple of people in here tell me some horror stories about trips they'd had with Uber, and it was why they don't use Uber anymore. So that to me is a little bit interesting. The other thing that I really wanted to try Lyft for was because like tips have dried up in the Uber app for me recently. I used to always be able to count on, especially working weekends. I just found there's much better tippers on the weekends if you don't get business travelers during the week, and because of the hours I'm working, because I only work like after hours, I don't get a lot of business travelers. I get people going to work, home from work, stuff like that. So I don't get a lot of heavy tippers. Plus, the area I work in when I'm working after work is not big on tippers. Cultural thing, I guess, or something. Anyway, because Lyft always allowed tipping, and it's sort of a culture in Lyft to allow tipping, I really wanted to see what that was like. The jury's out on it. I got 16 rides. I had 3 tips. It was I think probably about 8% of my earnings in tips. So that's about what a decent Uber rate is. So I don't think it was much more than Uber. One thing I do like that I need to ask some people about Lyft is that you don't have to rate your passengers right away. If you don't rate them, I guess they're going to get a 5. But if you want to go back and rate them, I think you have 24 hours to rate your passengers. And I know I've been tempted with Uber passengers because I'm so frustrated with the non-tipping that if I could rate them all after knowing whether they tipped or not, I would give all the non-tippers who weren't otherwise lousy a 4, and the tippers would all get 5s. I guess with the way Lyft does it, I could do that. I have some guilt about giving people who are otherwise perfectly fine passengers a 4 just because they didn't tip. But, probably not ever going to pick them up again. So I could teach them a lesson and say, you don't tip, you're getting a 4. You're not a perfect passenger. So, but I got past the 10 ride threshold, so I got a rating. Looks like I got 5 stars. Woohoo! For Lyft right now, and I'm pretty satisfied with my first night with Lyft. Actually went much better and smoother than I thought it would go. There's some oddness with the app. It seems to be a little more dependent on network than the Uber app is. I had a couple of times where it glitched, and I had to shut down my iPhone one time to get it to come back up. But still picked up the passenger who was queued for me. I don't like the queue feature. I want to be able to reject a ride, but I only rejected one, and I think it was because I was getting ready to go home, and I didn't want to in the morning, and I didn't want to take it, and that killed my acceptance rate for pretty much all day until I got past like the 12 ride threshold. So I think I'm okay on the acceptance rate now. But again, overall good. It's first day. I doubt tomorrow's Sunday. I doubt I'll be out tomorrow. To get the sign-on bonus, I got to do 140 rides in a month. with my driving pattern, I'm kind of 40 to 50 on the weekends, 12 usually, during the week. So that's about 60 rides a week. I got really 4 more weekends to get that done, so it should be easy to get that sign-on bonus. It's not that great. It's $210 for 140 rides, so it's what, about $1.20 per trip. That's better than the Quest bonuses Uber's given me the last 2 times. So unless Uber really pumps that Quest bonus up, I'm probably gonna drive Lyft exclusively until I get that bonus, and then sort of reevaluate where I stand. So anyway, so that's my first day Lyft impressions, and I think we'll post this and we'll see. It looks pretty dark in this car, so it may be a really useless video, but we'll see. Thanks. Bye.